I'm Mr. Mad, and this is the Mr. Mad Music Show. My guest tonight is Dr. Wendy Hardman. Take it away, Wendy. Piano since the age of 5, and she has played on 12 albums. Wendy is not only a church organist, but is also an accomplished piano player. Thanks, Wendy, for being on the show.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. So you started at the age of 5, and it was your mom who decided to teach you. Was that a Hardman family tradition to play?
Well, I don't think so. She did have lessons when she was younger, and so she thought that I should learn to play because she had this piano that just arrived in her house.
Oh,
so
okay.
I was the experiment.
Oh, you were the experiment.
So this is the results of the experiment.
Well, it's a good result.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, that was Beethoven, and that was how many hundreds of years old?
Quite a few.
Quite a few. So I think
300 maybe?
So I think we're in the public domain on that one?
Oh, we absolutely
are. Okay.
Yes, yes. And I did some modifications too, which you might not have noticed, but I did my own version of it, so good,
right.
good stuff.
So you also learned to play the pump organ and played in Sunday schools. And what do you remember from those times?
How hard it is to sit on the bench and try to also pump your fingers like this and make your hands go like this and make your feet go like this. And as soon as your feet stop moving, you get no sound. It's terrible. So piano is much easier to play.
Right,
yes,
right.
But it is fun.
So tell us about some of the churches, because I've got such a long list here of some of the, you've played in a lot of churches, and how does that atmosphere, those beautiful buildings and architecture inspire you to play?
There's some really beautiful buildings that have wonderful acoustics. Places in this area in Georgina, places around Ontario, many have just such a dynamic.
Right.
When you play, it's very alive. The music just comes back to you, and it's very, very nice to play.
What's one of your favorite ones? Would the larger ones be, or?
No, actually, I like sort of really small churches. They're really beautiful.
Right.
We have a church here in the area. Christ Church, Anglican Church, has amazing acoustics. They are awesome.
What was that one that I met you in when you had the jazz jam?
Yeah,
what
was
it? What's the name of that one?
Christ Church, Anglican.
Christ Church, Anglican. Yeah, that has. I still have a video of that on my phone. So you have 12 CDs? You've recorded 12 CDs? Is that like a package of 12? Like,
yes, I started
tell us about
a
that.
service for a lot of the people I met through playing in churches who really liked some of the older songs, and many of them are public domain actually, so that makes it quite nice. But they're favorites and familiar melodies, and by creating monthly CDs that would go out to people and with a little letter, and they'd come back and send me little notes back, and it was kind of a really cool way of keeping in touch and bringing people music that they don't always necessarily get to hear in church anymore, because sometimes churches go to more modern music, and
Right, do they?
there's still favorites that people like to hear and like to sing along, so there was always sing-along tracks and things like that. So it was intended to really help them just to kind of bring some good memories back with some things attached to some of those songs, and also to join in too.
Right. So a question that I know you're curious about is, how do people learn songs? And you have some answers for me on that one?
I do.
Okay.
It's an ongoing question. I think that people learning generational transfer of songs, you know, from old to new, sometimes it doesn't happen very much anymore. People are further away from family. People don't necessarily always have opportunities to get together to do that. They do maybe other things, video games, or you know, other activities.
Yeah,
so it's, do you find that with your grandchildren even, how do you find that?
Yeah, the last few times he didn't bring his screen with him, so yeah, that's true. The screen time there's some slogan I've seen about screen time lately. Yeah, because I mean, when I started, it was a record, a needle on a record, and then I was trying to mimic or cop or you know, do what I was hearing.
Sing along with it.
And I still, when I perform, I still play true to the record. I play up at the Lake Simcoe Arms quite a bit. And when I do those old songs, I'm trying to do them as true to the record as I can. So I especially like your approach to recording music, where you say you sit down and you look out the window, and then everything inspires you from a sunrise to a roaring wind. That's very cool. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, when I make music, or I think I had watched one of your earlier programs, and early in the season, and you had someone talking about the music is in you to let out, and that you just see that, and you can see the melodies, and you can just sit down and let it run out of your fingers. So the hardest part is getting it scribed, so I often just record it directly from my keyboard. And sometimes it doesn't actually get printed on pages.
Do the birds on the wire, sometimes you pick notes up from that?
Well, they give me clues, they do. Especially when there's one hanging upside down. You're not sure whether that's an accidental.
Play something else for us then. Okay. When we come back, she will play something else for us. Stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. Hi, we're back on the Mr. Mad Music Show, and today we're talking with Dr. Wendy Hardman. So Wendy, tell me about your formal education, and I know that you've always focused on how adults learn and how technology can help them learn, hence your PhD research. Did you want to talk a bit about that? Or?
Sure. One thing that's always intrigued me is how do people learn, and how to help them learn better, and how to help them in ways that fit what they need, so they don't feel stupid or dumb for not getting it. Because it usually means that you're not communicating it well, and it's not the student's fault, the learner's fault. It's the responsibility of whoever's facilitating to make sure they connect in a way that works for you.
Right.
And so to me, there's lots for us all to learn on an ongoing basis. Whenever we interact with people and help them to learn something, and how can we help them in a way that works for them.
Right.
And technology is a powerful tool. It's a really great resource to help and to aid in some ways practice and various other parts of learning, but it is. But that's not really related to music, and I don't really have a lot of formal education in music, so it's, as I say, my mom taught me to play, and we worked through a bunch of read John Thompson books until we ran out of books, and then she said she didn't think she could teach me anything more, so I feel like I've been going to the School of Music ever since then, because you learn so much from many of the musicians you work with. And,
that's very true.
And they're like, it's such a rich opportunity to learn, why are you doing that, or how'd you figure out that, or various things. And one of my guests I'm going to have later in the show is going to help us with a piece, and she was sharing with me some of her experience about learning flute and jazz and so on. And you know, how do you do that, or what does that? How do you figure that out, or what's that all about? And you learn just sort of, and you learn it in bite-sized pieces too, that are rather than sort of the big doses. So, and you get to use it and make it work for you and play with it and stuff like that. So,
I suppose in your gigs, if you call them that, I suppose there's not a lot of drama that happens during the performances. Like you're not dealing with drunken people or fighting or somebody going, play Mustang Sally. You don't get that in the church much, do you?
Well, no, not in churches, but sometimes in seniors' residences you do. No, I'm just kidding.
Do seniors do that?
Oh, I'm just kidding.
That's fun. And they're drunk and fighting, or?
Well, no, they're not usually fighting. No, I play in a number of different settings, but in church it's usually pretty quiet. And people are usually listening, or sometimes they're snoozing, because it can be a place of rest, really, rest of the spirit or rest of the body.
Right.
So, you know, they could be snoozing. They don't. All I ask is they don't snore too loudly. That's more of an issue. No, it's not.
Especially if they're off key, right?
Well, yes, but we got to get them in tune. So, yeah, it's usually a great setting to work in, and people are just always, if you can find music that connects for them, and that's, to me, the challenge when you're providing a musical experience for them, is to find melodies and songs that really relate to something they know about, and that they can connect with, and that's really important.
Because over the past 5 years, you've helped make an impact with the elderly in nursing homes through music, right? You've done quite a bit with that.
I've done quite a bit with that, and it's really an area of keen interest of mine around how music can support people who have dementia or various elderly aging issues, and how the importance of providing them with music that connects to times. Usually it's related to the times in your 20s. If you think about in your life, you know, the times when you did a lot of learning of music, and there was sort of influential music. When you get to be 85 or 90 and not really quite all together anymore, pulling up that music and playing it for you will take you to a place of usually a positive experience of recalling a time, good times. Often there's songs you learned and you sing along to, and you still sing along when you hear them now.
Yeah.
So it's really a connector. It's kind of helping to plug in to things that people have kind of lost some of their...
So that will bring back a memory for the elderly? Or?
Well, it takes them to places that is very, very good for them, and they seem to be... they seem to feel better, and they're also sort of more aware, whereas other times you might talk to them and they're not really there, and they're not really listening. Well, we sometimes do that these days, but
yeah, exactly.
You're really wanting to help connect and provide them with some positive memories, and help them to move into a positive energy space, and so that's all helps to do that. And even if it only lasts for a little while, it's a good thing, and you know, we all like to feel good for a while.
Yes, great.
And then we go back to what hurts and what do I have to get done today, and some of those other things that can drag us down.
So in a few seconds, would you go back up and play?
Sure.
And play something for us. Now tell us about this next piece. Okay,
I played For Elise For You, and this one I'm going to play for me, and it's the first song I really played that kind of came out of my fingers that I kept playing again and again, and I'd sit down. And I'm sure that my husband got so tired of hearing it regularly, because every time I sit down, it was the first thing that came out of my fingers. So,
and it's yours.
It's mine.
All right.
Is mine.
Let's
it's called
hear it,
Joy.
Wendy.
I will do it for you.
Wendy Hardman, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. We have it here.
right, we're back with Dr. Wendy Hardman. Wendy, what advice would you give to new musicians?
New musicians, well, I would suggest that you learn how to play the piano or whatever the instrument is, and taking lessons is a good place to start. But there's also a lot to learn from not reading the music. And sometimes just playing and noodling around with whatever seems to feel right, and trust yourself that you can create melodies. And often children are really good at making up music. And we often don't necessarily value that or encourage that.
Right.
And I think playing by ear and learning to play that way is so valuable, and the ability to hear something and maybe take it and expand on it or put your own version on it. I just think that lessons are valuable. They help you with a lot of concepts and help you to understand music, but also listening to your heart and to play what you feel is a really valuable.
Yeah, because when we play in this type of things, the type of settings that I usually play in, we have to know how to play by ear. If we were to just read it, well, I wouldn't have that feel. It wouldn't sound like the blues either, right?
Yes.
Or any of the rock stuff or rock and roll stuff that we do. Do you have a brush with fame story? Or a road story? You wouldn't have a road story. No,
I just have issues of power. Like if you are playing something and you're required to have it electricity, usually, like especially something like an organ or an electric something or other, and all of a sudden you have no electricity, you have to get really resourceful about what to do when it's supposed to be there, and all of a sudden it's like gone. And you're going, oh goodness.
Didn't that happen to you one time with the, was it the pump organ? You were playing.
Well, a pump organ always works as long as you keep pedaling. But sometimes the electricity in churches, although they all pay their bills, so it's not like that. But it's just sometimes you get surprises and you have to get really resourceful and jump to something else, or just it's problem solving on the spot.
Right.
Crisis management.
Crisis management. Yes. Resourceful.
Yes.
So did I ask you what was Sing a New Song? Did I ask you about that?
Oh.
Yeah, tell us a bit about that.
Sing a New Song was a project I took on with a colleague to help people learn songs from around the world.
Right.
Because it's helpful. We have a lot of our music here in North America has a sort of a standard feel and patterns to it.
Yeah.
So you hear a song from Peru, or you hear something from China, or a native Aboriginal piece, or something from some other country that's Spain or Portugal or something they all have their own flavor, and they often use different series and combinations of notes, so it helps to expand your appreciation of music, and it sometimes can give you new ideas that you can use yourself.
And they use a lot of different scales too.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Like what are some of them, and how would you explain that to people? Because we're so used to the benzene scale, am I saying that
I don't even know the scale word, so
it's not benzedrine, I think, but it's benzene.
That sounds like a drug.
Yes.
Sorry. So all I would say is it helps you to get used to hearing different sound combinations. So it helps to expand your ears and your thinking. And there's different patterns come from different cultures, so it's really difficult to sort of name them or label them, but it just broadens your understanding of music possibilities.
Cool. And what was your other project, Let Your Spirit Soar? What was that?
That was a community music project, and I did series of monthly music events in communities to encourage people to come and sing along. So we had a lot of sing-along songs and things, and we encouraged people to come and bring their grandchildren, or multi-generational groups of people to come and share the kind of things that sometimes they don't always get around to singing at home because they're busy doing other things. And it was just an intention of that transition of sharing music between generations.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you had a story about page turning. I was trying to find, because sometimes in this stuff with multiple instruments, so much can go wrong. Everything from broken drum heads to usually a lot of these technological things quite often just don't work, or they need a battery.
Yes.
But your story, there was one about turning a page. That was about it. That was about the only issue you run into?
Well, I guess the other thing about a piano is that it's pretty mechanical and there's no electricity required, generally speaking. So as you play the keys and they work. Sometimes they sound a little wonky, but they basically play well for you. And I've done quite a bit of work where I play with other musicians. Now that works out really well, as long as you make sure that in the page turning, you only turn one page at a time.
That was the story. Now I remember.
Regardless of who you're playing with, they will lose you, or you will become unglued if you turn 2 pages and they only turn 1. Or if they turn 2 pages and you only turn 1, and then you have to figure out where they are so you can get reconnected again. It's always a fun challenge.
So you just made me realize that probably happens a lot in orchestras.
It could
classical
easily,
orchestras.
yes.
Yeah,
I think that could be an issue, and you need to know your stuff and how everybody else sounds really well so you can jump to a place.
Right. So you brought the Roland with you, which is an electric piano.
Yes.
At home you have...
I have a real piano.
Yeah.
A non-electric piano.
So is it a stand-up or is it a grand?
No, it's not a grand yet.
Oh,
that's my next piano. You know how people talk about their next car? I don't talk about my next car.
I like hearing that. As a musician,
piano.
I like hearing
Yes,
that.
yes.
A baby grand?
Well, I think as big as I can get in the house.
As big as I can get in the house, yeah. What do you think you'd buy? What would you recommend?
I have no idea.
No.
I just want something that
Yamaha
sounds
or
beautiful
something like
and that my heart says yes to.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Get back on that electric, and I'm gonna thank the theater and RogersTV.com. I'd also like to thank Sue from Tranquility, Isaiah Burns, who was my production assistant. We also had Trish from Positive Approach, Cam Hoffman, and the town of Georgina.